Hey everyone, I wanted to do a video for World Bipolar Day on mood charts and specifically mood tracker apps. I polled my followers on Twitter and this was one of the subjects they wanted to learn most about. And in my personal experience, this is not a medical opinion, mood tracker apps are one of the most underrated tools in managing bipolar disorder. So I've had bipolar disorder my whole life and I was diagnosed about 16 years ago. So I'm going to go over the main benefits of mood tracker apps. I'm going to talk about the two apps I use every day for managing my bipolar disorder, and then I'm going to talk about some insomnia. You might be interested if you have insomnia, if that's a struggle you have, which is very common in people who have bipolar disorder. So what are some of the biggest benefits of tracking your moods, right? So when you visually track your moods, which is what a mood chart does, some use numbers and some use colors. I prefer stuff that uses colors because obviously I love color. So all of these paintings in the background, I did that. I love color. So it visually tells you what your triggers are. So triggers are people, places, events, activities that precede an episode of depression. And so if you see a pattern over time, okay, the times when I didn't get enough sleep, when I got like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, maybe even a little bit more than that, that's when I started to feel depressed. And then it shows you patterns for example, if you have hypomania, like me, I have bipolar 2. It tells me over time what is happening when I have hypomania. And I don't want to have hypomania because what happens after hypomania is depression. It's the crash, right? So I don't want to be all the way up here. I want to be about here, like stable as possible. And then if you have mania, which is a symptom of bipolar 1, and you can also see what events precipitate mania. And another thing that is a huge benefit of mood tracker apps, like Dailyo, the first app I'm going to go over, is that it's helped me understand what my top 5 activities are. For example, what are the top 5 things that help me feel better when I'm depressed? Or what are the things ideally I want to do even when I'm not depressed so that I can stay, not depressed and not hypomanic. So the other big benefit of using mood tracker apps is that it can track your medications. So the EMoods tracker app, the second app I'm going to discuss, tracks medicine, the dosage. It can also help you remember to take your medication. So it can act like a list, right? It says yes or no, did you take it? Or it can ask you could say if you're supposed to take 2 pills of something, it'll ask how many pills you took. And it tracks the time you wake up. Mood charts can help you track how much sleep you're getting. And for people who don't know, let's say you're somebody who's struggled with depression and you don't know exactly what you have. You might have bipolar disorder, you might have some other type of depression. You can bring the mood charts to your therapist or psychiatrist. A lot of people with bipolar disorder go without an accurate diagnosis for years and years. And one of the obstacles is that we tend to see people, a therapist or a psychiatrist, for a diagnosis when we're depressed. People don't generally go to a psychiatrist when they're feeling great, right? Say, I'm feeling great, please help me. Please help me figure out what's wrong with me. So if you track your moods, you can bring in the mood charts, you can print it, you can share it with a psychiatrist that you're seeing. And it can help you get a diagnosis. So the first app I want to talk about is Dailyo. And again, I love Dailyo. This is the icon. It's purple and green. You can find it on the App Store, and I talk about it again with testimonials in my article, Top 29 Mental Health Apps. And what Dailyo has really helped me with is understand the activities that help me most. So the top 5 activities that help me most that I want to do as much as possible is, first one is light therapy. I try to do that every day. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to include a link to one of the articles I wrote about managing seasonal affective disorder. So seasonal affective disorder, some people have it in the winter time like I do, and then some people have it triggered by the onset of spring or summer. So light therapy, which I've used for years, has helped me manage not only seasonal affective but bipolar disorder, because your sleep cycle is important. It's important to get enough sleep and a regular schedule when you have bipolar disorder. But then the catch-22 is that having bipolar disorder makes it harder to get sleep. and I have 5 autoimmune diseases. So I also have pain insomnia. So the times when I'm doing good, I wake up at the same time every morning. I stare at that box of light for 15 minutes. So that was unexpected. I knew that that would help me with my moods. The second thing, the days that I shower, those, it's very hard. I don't have a disability accessible shower. That's a long story, but showering coincides generally with the days I'm feeling good. If I'm feeling really depressed, I try to, I play Eye of the Tiger. I try to get into that shower. And a third activity, which was kind of surprising to me, is one of the best factors that helps me get out of a depression or coincides with the times that I'm feeling great. So I want to be about here or here, right? So on Dailyo, the black color is feeling terrible. And then above that is blue. And then in the middle is purple. And following the purple is green. Green is happy. And then yellow is rad. So I try to stay generally within purple and green, and occasionally rad, but I don't want to be down here all the time, and I don't want to be up here all the time. I don't want extremes. So watching Days of Our Lives is really great for me. So the other day I was, feeling depressed, and I'm like, what can I do? I look at my mood tracker app. It's like, okay, let me turn on Days of Our Lives. And my BFF T and I, sometimes we get to watch Days of Our Lives together, which is even better. And then the fourth thing is listening to Black gospel music. So this is really uplifting for my moods. I try to do it as often as possible. And then on the days that I can, I really try to exercise. So it's not possible for me to do that every day. But exercise is really good for fighting depression. And I try not to do it too late in the day, because having bipolar disorder, that means I'm going to be up all night. There's going to be hypomania that follows that, and then depression is going to follow the hypomania. So I try to get that exercise in, and it is very hard to exercise when you're depressed. But the irony is that exercise helps with depression. So I'm also going to include a link below this video to an article I wrote, 6 tips for exercising when you are depressed. So that's the best thing about Dailyo, is it's helped me identify what I can do to fight those triggers. Now, EMoods is the second app I use daily. It takes longer to fill out than Dailyo. So if you don't have time, if you're somebody who doesn't have time, Dailyo is a micro diary, right? So I recommend that. But EMoods helps you track what time you wake up every day, what time you go to sleep. It's great for remembering to take your medications, because you list your medications. You can see how changes in dosages affect you. Also, if you forgot to take your medicine one day, it shows you, hopefully that doesn't happen, but it shows you how that affects your mood. So how it works is that this color, this circle, this light blue dot means no depression. The darkest line means severe depression. So it asks you 4 questions. It says, what was the most you have been depressed today? So it goes from none all the way to severe. It asks you about anxiety. It asks you, have you felt any moods of elevation today, and irritability? Again, you can track all the supplements you take, all the medications, and it also allows you to add things to it. So I've dealt with chronic migraines in the past, though they're getting better with this new drug I've tried called low-dose naltrexone. I've been on that for 2 months. But I was able to track my chronic ear infections and migraines. So if I'm getting super depressed, I look at this chart and I see, okay, the depression coincides when I have terrible, terrible migraines and the ear infections, right? So the better the LDN helps me with my ear pain and the migraines, the better my moods get, which makes sense. But also there's some triggers that are unavoidable, right? So ideally we want to get the right amount of sleep and wake up at the same time every day, but it's not always possible. So some triggers are unavoidable. So the other day, someone in my life who is in their 80s called me, and she didn't know how to use her iPhone. So she meant to text me, but she called me like at 4 in the morning because she didn't know the difference between how to make a phone call and a text. Obviously, I'm not upset. It wasn't intentional, but so now I know the times that I'm not getting sleep and it coincides with depression. What that tells me as someone with bipolar disorder is it's not me. This is not hopeless. Life is not meaningless. That's just the bipolar talking, and it was triggered by a lack of sleep. And so then I look at the times when I've been doing well, when I've been in that middle section and I've been consistent, and like, I can get back up there again. What can I do? So if you are feeling depressed because of factors beyond your control, a friend passed away suddenly, you're taking care of a sick loved one, you have an annoying family member, somebody calls you at 3 in the morning, what can you do, right? If it's an ongoing terrible thing, it's a crisis in your life, you could see your therapist, right? That's something you can schedule to do. Who lifts you up? So Dalio has taught me, you can add activities, right? So I can add in something like, I talked to my friend Jessica's mom, and when I talk to her on the phone, I feel better. It also has taught me tracking my moods, who makes me feel worse in my life, who to avoid when I'm feeling depressed. So if it helps you deal with triggers, it helps you identify triggers, it gives you a game plan when your plan has been interrupted and those unavoidable triggers are in your life. So yeah, those are the 2 apps I use, Dalio and EMoods. I also want to talk about insomnia and apps for insomnia. So I don't specifically use an app because for a decade I have a few songs downloaded as the sound of waterfalls, and painting waterfalls in water is one of my favorite subjects. It's like all-time one of my favorite subjects. So it's very calming. It provides a white noise I need to deal with the bipolar disorder and the insomnia that has coincided with it my whole life. But in my article, here are a few apps I just want to read that readers recommended. The first is called White Noise Sleep Pillow, and it has 300,000 combinations. So some of the sounds they listed are not just rain, but rain on a car with windshield wipers, jungle cave birds, a mother's heartbeat, a massage music, a vacuum. And then in addition to White Noise Sleep Pillow, the second one is Rain Sleep Sounds. So it has 100 high-quality endless sounds. They have names like thunder cracks, desert wind, blizzard wind, and then a cat purring even. And then the third one is the Sleep Cycle Alarm Clock. This has a high rating, and it so these are some of the apps that people have recommended to me. And I just, it's something, if you have a mood disorder, especially bipolar disorder, I recommend using EMoods. If I didn't have bipolar disorder but I had depression, I would use Dalio because I would still find it very helpful. So let me know, have you ever heard of mood charts? Have you ever used them? Were they helpful or not? Has an app ever helped you? Maybe helped you remember to take your medications, or just helped you feel better in life? And if you like this video, if you found it helpful, if you know someone who could benefit it, please hit subscribe, share the video on social media, and thank you, my Twitter followers, for telling me what you want me to talk about. And the next subject you asked me to talk about was specifically sleep and bipolar disorder, so I'm going to do a more in-depth video on that goes beyond the apps. But anyway, this is Jessica signing off. Thank you.